Hey guys, it's Stephanie here, and today I'm giving you my January wrap up. I read 14 books last month. That's right, 14 books, which is great for me. I know some people read a lot more, but I've never read more than 14 books in a month. So yeah, uh, don't mind my dirty laundry in the background, sorry. I thought I got it out of the way, but I kind of had to finish up here, just finish getting ready for the day, even though it's 3 o'clock. It's fine, everything is fine. So January, I tried something a little bit different. I ended up trying out a TBR jar, and I did great for the first 2 books. And then I was like, oh, I'm ahead, because my goal is to read 8 books in a month. So I pulled out 8 prompts for the jar, and I read the first 2 in a few days, in a matter of days. And then I was like, okay, I can go ahead and I can read whatever I want at this point. I can continue with just a set TBR or read something different. Well, yeah, at that point, I veered off out of that TBR, but that's okay, because I was having the whole reason why I did it. One, I thought it would be more entertaining for people to watch, but it never went up anyway, so it's fine. But it did help me realize that one of the books that I pulled out as a prompt, I don't actually want to read anymore. I bought it probably 10 years ago or something like that. And I just realized that I'm not interested in reading it at this point, so I was able to unhaul a book, and it helped get me forward, help give me some momentum for the month. So yeah, it worked out, just not how exactly I had thought it would or had planned. So the first 2 books I read this month were The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. That one was tons of fun, very silly. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Wasn't a favorite, but I liked it. The next one was Warriors of Wind and Flame by Sarah B. Larson. This was a sequel to Sisters of Shadow and Light, which came out in 2019. I believe this is, I think it's just a duology, so this was the conclusion to this little series. It was great. I enjoyed the first book more, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I was living for the romance in this book for both sisters. Really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. Just a little sweet thing going on with just the right amount of spice for me, at least. But it wasn't what the entire story was about either. So, I mean, if you're looking for romance, definitely wouldn't recommend it for that reason. But if you want a light fantasy with a hint of romance, Warriors of Wind and Flame, Sisters in Shadow and Light, it's a great duology to give you that, and it was entertaining. I'm looking forward to seeing what Sarah B. Larson does next. I think she just keeps getting better and better, so yeah, see. The next book I have here is Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay, which I actually picked up because I saw it in a vlog from Books and Lala. It was great. I loved it. It's basically a zombie apocalypse type of thing going on. It takes place during a pandemic, so it's not afterwards or anything, it's during the entire thing. And one of my favorite parts was in the opening. The author has some comment section from some social media site. Sounded like a Facebook comment section, to be honest, but anyway, I listened to the audiobook, so I don't actually know if he labeled it. I don't remember or not. But basically had all sorts of comments that were basically mimicking what happened last year with the pandemic, which was, it's not real, it's not that bad. And then you had people going, oh my gosh, we're all gonna die. Just everyone on every side of the extreme, whether it's justified or not, he had it. And that just made the story so much more real for me, in a good way. So I really enjoyed it. The book was very gripping. I did have to put it down a couple times because it felt so real. It was a little scary for me at some points, so I really enjoyed it. It was great. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Would highly recommend Survivor Song, even if you don't usually go for zombies, because I don't. The next book I read was Poems to Night, 2 separate words for there, and that was by Rainer Maria Rilke. This was actually a translated work, and it was also a review copy. This one comes out March 2nd this year, and I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Let me check real quick. I feel like that's what I did. Yes, okay. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. This is a book of poetry that you can't really just fly through and also comprehend. At least I couldn't. Of course, I haven't read poetry in a really long time. I've just recently really got back into it. So maybe that's not the case for someone who is more adept at reading poetry or has read it far longer than I have, and more. But for me, at least, it wasn't a poetry book that you could just really go through very fast. If you wanted to actually understand what was being written, you had to actually sit and really think about it, which sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. But this is a collection that I would enjoy having on my shelves, and I would read again. I think some of the poems were really beautiful, so yeah. If you can, I would pick it up. It's by no means new, really. It's just translated into English, I think, for like the first time or something like that. Anyway, I could be wrong there, and I tried to find where it was translated from, what language, but I can't seem to locate it. So now, granted, I just looked at NetGalley because I'm trying to do this fast, so it's probably out there. I just don't have time to look for it right now. The next book I have on my list is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. It was chilling, it was compelling. I really enjoyed the audiobook, and the story was just, it was great. I loved it. It was some of the best parts of a haunted house story without the hauntedness. It was great. I really enjoyed it. It went places that I did not expect at all. 5 out of 5. Great. I would recommend. The next book I read was The Murders of Molly Southbourne by Tay Thompson. This book is about a girl who, every time she bleeds, a new copy of her appears, and eventually these copies try to kill her, and so she has to kill them first. And it's just about her surviving her life. It's 116 pages, I think, something like that. Would highly recommend. 5 out of 5 stars. This was another book that I picked up because I watched a vlog from Books and Lala. It was fantastic. Loved it. The next book I have that I read was The Rumor by Leslie Cara. And this one is it's basically a mystery. I don't think it's not really a thriller. It's just a mystery, really. And it's about this woman who hears this rumor that there's a reformed convict living in this small town. This reformed convict, or, well, I don't know if convict's the right term or not, honestly, but anyway, this person, when they were a child, murdered another child, and there's a rumor going around town that that person lives there, and the main character starts spreading the rumor, and then she starts getting messages like, hey, you know, rumors can kill, type of thing. So it was very compelling. I wouldn't say it was scary at any point, but I was definitely like at the edge of my seat. This was another one that I didn't really see going where it went. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like super, super surprising, but it was like, oh, like pleasantly like, oh, you tricked me type of thing. I really enjoyed it. It was great. 5 out of 5 stars for that one as well. And then the next one I have was also a 5-star book, and that is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This one was great. It's about this girl whose family fled this house that is assumedly haunted when she was little. They fled very suddenly. No one really knows why. Her parents don't talk about why. And her father dies and her parents are split up at this point, so she inherits the house and everything that he owns, and she goes to find out what exactly happened there. And it's also, her father wrote a book, and so the book bounces back and forth between our main character and what's going on present day, and versus the book that her father wrote about what happened. And honestly, I would prefer her father's version of events. I thought those were far more terrifying than what actually happens and did happen. But all the same, it was great. Loved it. I definitely am going to be picking up more Riley Sager this year. So yeah. The next book I have here is The Whisper Man by Alex North. This book is the most terrifying thing I have ever read in my entire life. It really gave me, honestly, like true crime vibes without it actually being true crime. It was, it felt very real. It was extremely immersive, and at least for me, I just got really sucked into the story. I really love true crime, so when I picked this book up and I was like, it feels like it's like this, it's happening. It was just so good, and honestly, I don't usually get creeped out by true crime documentaries and stuff like this, but this one felt like a true crime documentary. Like, it was that interesting, but at the same time, it was terrifying. But with that said, it also really, I think, I don't know if it does a good job or not necessarily, but it shows different father-son relationships, specifically cycles of abuse between father and son relationships, and what can happen to both parties in those situations. And I thought that I'm speaking as someone who's never experienced any type of abuse in my life, so take that as you will. I can't really speak on that topic, but I felt like the author handled it pretty well. I am not sure if he experienced that or not. I didn't really look into that part, but I thought that he handled a subject which I think is very sensitive, and I think he handled it pretty well in the context of his story and everything. The ending was terrifying in a different way than the rest of the book was. I can't really say why it was terrifying, and maybe I'll go into a spoiler review of the book and talk about it more there, because it really left quite an impact on me, to be honest, and it's really made me think, not just in a good way, like anyway, like obviously I know abuse is bad, so it didn't like make me think like, oh, I thought it was good before and now I don't. Like, no, I always knew it was bad. So I just feel like the way I phrased that was a little weird there, so disclaimer, I know it's always bad. So, but just like the way it ends and everything. It really makes you think about the impact that it has on even people who end up perpetuating it and everything, and it just, and as well as people who don't. Anyway, it was really good, and I will definitely be reading more of Alex North. The next book I read was The Survival of Molly Southbourne by Tate Thompson. That one was good. Yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I can't really say too much about it because that would spoil the first one quite a bit. So I didn't particularly enjoy all, like, where the story went, really. So yeah. The next book I read was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. I'd heard a lot of great things about this book, so I was really excited about it. I thought I was gonna love it, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. Again, this was another book that went places that I didn't expect it to, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It was kind of odd where it went, which again is not a bad thing. It just wasn't my particular taste of odd, the way things panned out. I don't really know how to put it into words. It was good. I don't mean to say that it's not. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. If you think that you'll like it, definitely give it a try. It just wasn't my entire cup of tea that I would have liked or had hoped for, so that's fine. It wasn't bad. It just didn't really hit that sweet spot for me. It's all, really. So the last 3 books were actually all poetry collections. So I read 4 poetry collections in January, and the next one was Nocturnal by Wilder Poetry. And I really enjoyed it. I don't really have much to say about this one. It was a fast read. Some of the poetry was really, I really identified with some of the poems, just with some of my mental health struggles that I've had in the past year and everything. And I really liked how the collection balances kind of what it's like to have some depression and anxiety, while also balancing that with also being hopeful as well, and everything. So yeah, it was good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I actually really enjoyed it quite a bit, and I would like to actually at some point reread this and have a physical copy on my bookshelf. So yeah. The next collection that I read was The Witch Doesn't Burn, and this one by Amanda Lovelace. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was good. Wasn't really my favorite. Again, I don't really have a lot to say about this one. Whereas this one was very passionate about the things that it addresses, and I mean, if you're looking for poetry that is maybe gentle on you, or something maybe that kind of speaks more soothingly, I don't know how to say it, but it's kind of maybe more on like acceptance. I don't even know how to say it, but this is just very some of the poems are very angry about some of the things, which rightfully so, with a lot of the topics that they deal with. Like there is a content warning or trigger warning. I can't remember what it's called in this particular book, but there's a content warning page at the beginning of this book about a lot of the topics, I believe. I think it was this one. I could be wrong though. It's either this one or Nocturnal, or maybe both of them did. I can't remember for sure now. I'm questioning myself. Anyway, A lot of really heavy topics in both, quite frankly. I definitely enjoyed Nocturnal more, but that I think is because Nocturnal deals with more of things that I have personally gone through, more so than the other one does, for me at least. So yeah. And then the last book that I read was also a review book, and that is The Grief We're Given by William Bortz. This one came out on February 2nd. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It was fine. My problem, honestly, with this particular poetry collection is that a lot of the formatting, I felt like really took away from the themes that he was talking about. Instead of having the poems split up or arranged differently, he had entire poems that were a page long, and each line was divided with the what is it, backslash, forward slash, anyway, I think you guys know what I mean. And it was an entire like paragraph, and it was like the entire page. And I have never enjoyed poetry when it's formatted like that. I think it kind of makes it feel really clunky. And unfortunately, there was quite a bit of that, and I think there were some other formatting as well that I just didn't enjoy. I don't remember those one as well, because this one really bothered me a lot, with the whole entire paragraphs. Every time I came to a point where there's an entire paragraph with basically no breaks, like, it just made me want to put the book down. And even though I was enjoying it before, just the formatting really did not work for me and was distracting from what was actually being said. So now, that said, it may work for other people, but it did not do me any favors at all. So that one I didn't enjoy so much. So yeah. Anyway, the video's over. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. This is 25 minutes long. I don't want to edit this. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna go now. Bye. That was so long.